Her breathing was rapid. The light in the security room flickered in the same irregular pattern she was familiar with. System interference, perhaps. That night, something didn't add up. Claire froze in front of screen 07. The monitor displayed the second-floor hallway, where no movement was at that hour. And in the corner of the image and right at the edge of the shadow cast by the emergency light, there was someone. It moved, it didn't walk, it did absolutely nothing. But it was there, property facing the camera, as if he knew. Claire narrowed her eyes and felt stomach drop. The image was grainy, as if it had been captured by an old device even though the system was digital. Tapped the keyboard, zooming in, standard, same old procedure. The image got closer, gaining clarity, until it revealed something that didn't make he was not an ordinary person. Or rather it was, but with something wrong. With his tilted at an unnatural angle, his mouth half open as if he were in the middle of a sentence that never ended. And the eyes. They didn't fixed on the lens, as if looking directly at it. Not through the camera, but through it. Claire swallowed. He instinctively at the living room door. It was locked. He turned to the panel with the other cameras. All normal except 07, always her. He decided go back to recording, seconds before, just to confirm that it wasn't live, but when rewinding, the monitor went out. Black screen, nothing. The backup, nothing. Turned the source off and on again, nothing. And then, when I was about to get up, the monitor turned on by itself. It was no in recording mode. Now it just displayed a grey screen and with a blank typed line. Old system terminal style, playback locked, code. Claire took a step back. She didn't type anything. You've never seen this kind of warning before. The most disturbing thing wasn't the message, but the name. It was hers, encoded, catalogued, with her eyes still glued to the screen. She didn't that the room's own internal security camera had activated. A small red dot blinked in the corner of the wall close to the ceiling. Recording. Claire turned around when she heard the click of the sensor activating, but it was too late. The image on the monitor changed once again. It showed herself sitting, in the same position he was in now, only with a different expression. In the video she was crying. His eyes were red, his hands were pressed against his ears. Claire in the video seemed to be begging for something, but the sound was totally silent. She tried to pause. Nothing. Tried to exit the display. Tried to turn off the monitor. The button did not respond. At the bottom of the screen, a phrase began to flash like a repeated, slow, deliberate, "She saw it, but I shouldn't remember." Claire backed away. The screen flickered. The recording disappeared. And everything went back to monitor 07. Now only showed an empty corridor. No shadows, without anyone. She entered the log system to check the camera missing file. No records in the last 2 hours. Tried to restart the entire system. Everything went. But before the panel restarted for a second, all screens showed the same thing, her face. But from an angle that didn't exist in the, as if it were filmed from behind of the monitor itself. Claire stood up at once. He went to the security door. It was unlocked. She didn't remember doing that. Next to the door on the floor there was an envelope. White, no seal, with surgical precision. She took it with shaking hands. Inside, just a sheet, with the following sentence, "You're not watching. You are being." Claire dropped the envelope. He slowly turned back to the cameras. They were all turned off. Less than 07. She blinked. Recording. Never had many followers, not many friends. He was the type of person who preferred silence to answering messages. She liked the anonymity. The waking up early, drinking coffee alone and watching the city wake up through the screen of the monitoring center, where I worked for 3 years. Was security in a modern corporate building. Nothing glamorous but predictable enough for someone who hated surprises. She always arrived before her. I was alone for at least 40 minutes before any other employee set foot in the building. It was as if that time of an absolute control was the only time in which she felt that the world I wasn't watching back. But she was wrong. Say long ago, in the weeks before what you saw happen, small things started to emerge. Duplicate images in nightly backup, changed file names, subtly. That showed no activity logs even when she knew they had captured movement. She attributed this to flaws in the system, and also to your tired mind. Was sleeping poorly, recurring nightmares. The same theme always, she sitting in the central chair, watching herself on camera. But in the dream, she remembered pressing record. The cameras recorded themselves, but at that time she still thought everything was psychological. It started to happen outside of the dream. One of the monitors flickered at night even though there was no input recorded, and every time she went to nothing was out of place. That's when she started to manually note each strange event. He used an old notebook, hidden a drawer with a key. No one knew that notebook existed, nor should they, because she had already suspected that the system was not as safe as seemed. But what she didn't expect, it was that her notes were also being read. Day when I opened the drawer, the notebook was rummaged through, folded pages, and in one of them, right in the corner, a note that I hadn't keep watching. You need to understand. Claire stopped writing that day, but she didn't stop noticing. In the elevator, that took longer than usual. At reception, her badge took 1 second longer to be validated, as if the system was checking something that wasn't hers. Began to feel that there was an invisible presence in the building, not a ghost, but something different, something you observe, without being present. It was then that she decided to install a second system on her own, analog cameras without connection to the company server. 3. Hidden in the side corridors and in the central room. She wanted to see what the original system did not show. But what she captured, it wasn't I expected. For the first week, everything seemed normal. On Monday, the camera in hallway 3 recorded someone leaving of the rooms, which had been locked for months, but when she went back to the tape, the person's face appeared. It was covered in a digital haze as if it had been censored. In the 3rd week, she received an anonymous note left on her with a single sentence. The recording is not what you see. It's what shows you whatever you want to see. It was that night that everything changed. Have you ever had that feeling that you're being watched? When you're alone? Comment here, I felt it. Maybe you also noticed something you weren't supposed to see. Claire began to suspect that she, the one controlling the equipment. It was the opposite. The system knew when she was distracted. I knew when she looked to the side. He knew when she was vulnerable, and knew she was trying to see outside of him. It was at this point that the blackouts began. The lights only flickered when she was alone. They would go dark for seconds and return to normal, but with the files changed. She began to document on paper what she had watched, and then checked digital recording. And he realized a terrible thing. What she saw live under was on the recording. It was as if the system only allowed one truth at a time. And the truth it was not the one that was registered. If this is making you uncomfortable, leave a like now. It's a way of signaling that you noticed what's wrong and will not ignore. The day before the climax you saw at the beginning, Claire woke up with marks on her neck. Not by force, but as if someone had placed their hand there gently. She lived alone. The door was locked. Cameras too, but no recordings showed anything. But the presence sensor activated at 3:17 a.m. and it remained on for 42 minutes. Enough time for someone or something decided she was ready. The next day, Claire arrived earlier than usual. She couldn't sleep anymore, not since last dawn, not after feeling those hands cold, heavy, and but motionless on his neck. As if the touch had been calculated, part of an experiment. As he turned on the security system, he noticed something subtle but deeply wrong. They were all online, but none of them showed images in real time. All screens displayed the same freeze frame, a single frame. I'm here. No, Claire frowned. That had never happened before. She checked the cables, reset the panel, tried resetting the cameras individually. Nothing worked. He decided to consult the manual records, paper and pen. The last note said, 3:17 a.m., sensor activated, presence for 42 minutes. No video records. Flipped through 2 more pages and saw something she didn't remember writing. A symbol. 3 circles interconnected by a vertical no explanation. Untitled. She stared at it for a while. The line was firm, symmetrical, almost technical. Wasn't the kind of scribble someone makes without noticing. And the strangest thing, it was drawn in red pen. She only wore blue. Claire felt a shiver up her spine, but he forced himself to continue. If it was a joke, as it didn't make sense. She went to the file folder of the one she installed from the outside, isolated from the network. There, the videos were saved in order, by date and time. He opened the folder from the previous day. There were 2 new files. The first started at 3:14 in morning, the second at 3:58 a.m. She clicked on the first one. Black screen, ambient sound, nothing abnormal. But at the Hall 2 sensor activates, and in that moment the image shakes, not as a technical problem, but as if someone had hit the lens from the out. Claire Pozzo. It advanced frame by frame, and then he saw it. For less than 0.5 seconds, the image, someone standing in the hallway, of Coast's face facing the ground, property. But that wasn't what left her. It was the clothes. That person was dressed in her uniform, dark shirt, black pants, identical boots. She tried to the frame. The image has been corrupted. The screen flickered, and then the video erased itself. Claire opened the second file, but it already empty. The weight in the chest increased. It was like being in a mental game. As if every attempt to prove what I saw was interrupted someone who was 1 step ahead. If you've ever felt like someone was going through your without leaving a trace, comment here. This couldn't have happened alone. Maybe you've noticed small distortions that no one else has seen. That morning, the building was... She took the opportunity to review the physical systems, power panels, presence sensors, offline servers. On panel B12, behind the room, she found an extra cable, offline, but connected to a device hidden inside the wall. She pulled carefully. It was a micro recorder. A single button, and a small display written Observer Unit 03 active. Claire froze. She had never seen it there. And yet, it felt like it had there for years. He took the device to his desk, connected to isolated system. The home screen showed a series of folders, and one of them had her name on it. Claire taught OBS 1. She clicked, and saw an audio file with a strange repeat 003 play. Silence, then static, and then a voice, but it wasn't someone else's voice. It was to Della. Something he never remembered saying it. He's already in the building, only I can't see it. But he sees through the cameras. I left the door. I left. Claire paused the audio with her hands shaking. She didn't remember any of that, nothing, but I knew it was his voice. And it wasn't an invented file, it was real. The question was, recorded by who and why? If you're feeling discomfort that you can't explain, leave like now. This is more than a scare, it's a presence. And maybe you also left some doors open, without realizing it. Upon returning to the all monitors were off, except one, bodies 07. It showed the second hallway, empty. But little by little the pixels started to move, alone, as if the image were being assembled in real time. And without any sound, the face appeared. It was her face, but with completely dark eyes, as an iris, no pupils, no reflection. And in the corner of screen, a caption in red, "The Unity has begun, she's ready to be seen." Claire ran her fingers over her face, trying to feel if was still herself there. That audio, that recording, that voice, there was no doubt it was his voice. But he said things she would have said, or worse, maybe I had said it, but I didn't remember. That was the most terrifying part. not knowing if what are hearing is a system error, external manipulation, or if your own mind is starting to lie to you. She got up from the chair as if the weight of doubt was greater than her own body, turned off the device, disconnected the cable, hid everything. But problem with hiding is that someone always knows where to look. That night, Claire decided go back to basics. She would reset the system, reset network, restore the analog server, and record every move, even her own. Installed a small mirror behind the monitor. He put a cell phone recording on loop. She wanted to observe herself, in case you no longer remember what you were doing. She wanted to prove that she's still in control. But the first thing he noticed is that the system was faster than her. The moment he entered for the secondary server, an alert flashed on the screen. Access exceeded, ID Claire H03. Another user is already in. Another user, on isolated server. She checked that the system detected an entry point from within the center itself. Claire spun around in her chair. Nothing there. Just her. And the camera. Decided to restart everything, but the system didn't allow it. In the bottom corner of the screen, something new appeared. Can't close what you started. She felt the ground disappear for 2 seconds. What did that mean? Had she activated? She looked through the temporary files and found a sequence of videos, hidden past her, no name, but with visible thumbnails. All that had something in common. They showed the central room, the same room where she was now, with her, in all of them, alone. But in each the Claire shown was different, more curved posture, stare, as if I had lost something or accepted something. In the last video, she no-blinked. Claire paused. He turned away from the screen. The mirror reflected his image, but for a moment, just one, she saw the reflex even without actually blinking. The cell phone camera recording would confirm the reflection flickered. But Claire doesn't. She began to understand. Something was overriding his, as if a parallel version of it was taking up space on the systems and maybe in the body too. Have you ever had that of seeing your reflection act different for a second? Comment here. I saw something that shouldn't have been there. Maybe you also noticed that your image is a little out of place. The building looked during the day, but at night he started to breathe. A Istura Rangia. The lights flickered in a pattern. The sensors activated and she started writing down the times, and noticed that all the patterns repeated themselves every 3 hours and 17 minutes. So 3:17, 06:34, 09:51, 13:08. It was as if some kind of internal protocol was active, and the strangest thing, no camera recorded these changes. But the sim. Claire decided to sleep at the plant. I wanted to see it with my own eyes. The first night he fell asleep around 2. He turned his cell camera towards himself, recording. He woke up with a snap. 03:17, exactly. Monitor 07 was on, recording. She looked at him. And she herself, sleeping. But at the bottom of the image there was something new. Someone standing, next to the bed, looking at her. Claire slowly to the side, nothing, but the video showed it. The figure was there, and little by little, he turned around. It was her. But without eyes, no mouth, expressionless. The image flickered and it disappeared. The camera turned off by itself. Claire took out her phone, but the file wasn't there. He went to the computer, tried to access the backup, and there it was. A print. Automatically she expanded. In the bottom corner of the print, there was a warning in red. Active unit, face 03 authorized. Implementation. Claire deleted all recordings, formatted the server, broke the HD. He threw the mirror away. But when she went to take a shower, that she noticed something that made her almost faint. In the bathroom mirror, there was a number written on the itself. 04. She was third. Now, it wasn't anymore. Are you still here? Watching all this? So pay attention to one thing. Sometimes what seems like just a story It's just the safest way to tell the truth, undercover. With changed names, with omitted dates. But the things you've heard so far and have already happened, and maybe are still happening. Kids know that you've made it this far. Most close the video beforehand. Most can't bear to see the mirror until the end. But if you've been watching far, it's because something inside you also suspected of a strange reflection from a monitor that turned on by itself. A feeling that no one else understood. So comment below, "I noticed something strange." But comment carefully. There are words that work like keys. Doors that only open when you activate them. And if all this is messing with your head, leave a like, not for support, but to mark that you also saw what you also understood, that you are awake, and most importantly, sign up now. Because the next video might show you missed, or that you forgot to see. That same night, after the vapor wrote 04 on the mirror, Claire decided to do what she swore she would never do. Return to the company's central files, not the ones she wore daily, but the older files. Those on forgotten servers, in a sub-level of the building where almost no one went since the pandemic. She used the master key. She went down alone. For the first time in 3 years, he entered room C09. With failing lights, smell of old metal and damp, turned on the analog panel. The chew. The monitors lit up slowly as if waking up from a coma. On the home screen, a text prompt, "Enter the name of the profile to be monitored." Hesitated, typed, "Sealer Irich." The cursor blinked. Then a new phrase emerged. "Double-run profile. Which face do you want to access?" She froze. There was handling 2 versions of it as different users. The screen loaded a selection panel, 2 images side by side. One of her smiling, with her tied up, apparently at peace. Another is with unfocused eyes, expressionless, almost dead. In the corner of the second image, a red stamp, 94% complete. Claire tried to access the first profile, but the system denied it. Only synchronized profiles can be viewed. She then on the second one, the one with dead eyes. The system opened a folder named Unit 04. Active inside there were files divided into video, audio, transcripts, commands executed. Each item had a timestamp, and most of them corresponded to moments when Claire I was alone in the security room. She opened the first audio. "Your voice again." But time. He was laughing. A low laugh, contained. No reason. After the laugh, another voice. Feminine, free, distant. She still resists. But not for the environment is already familiar. The reflection has already accepted. Claire Pourceau, it returned. He repeated the phrase. The recording answer was herself, or rather the other. Someone was following the fusion between 2 identities. An experiment, a protocol. She the latest video. It showed Claire from the recording sitting, as always, but with a new detail. Behind her, in the glass of the monitoring room, was someone stopped. And that someone, well, it was Jacob. The same Jacob who disappeared weeks before. The same who, according to the files, had created the first phase of the Observador project. Claire screamed, took a printout, tried to save the butt. Everything went out in seconds. The system has restarted, and the only file left was a new folder. With the name Unit 05, she opened it. Inside a text file, 04 in advanced synchronization, face accepted, implementation underway. 05 will be after complete transition. Claire didn't understand at first, but when he opened the attached PDF, almost fainted. It was a technical with neurological engineering language, and there in the bottom corner, a highlighted excerpt. Observer project. Replication of awareness based on digital routine data. Objective. Replace human profiles with operational. Copies integrated via constant observation until the original loses the distinction between reality and repetition. Claire felt the world spin. She being replaced. Not by a clone, but for a replicated behavior. A ghost profile that had been fed with everything she did. For years. That's Jacob did. That's what the system did. This is what the Observador project was. A psychological duplication experiment. Via digital, via routine, via monitoring. She tried to leave the room, but in the hallway, the sensors lit up, light for light. As if they knew she ran. He went up the stairs, he went to the bathroom, he looked in the mirror. And for the first time, I did not recognize reflection. If you feel that someone has accessed your behaviors, your schedules, your routine, sign up now. You are already on the list, and maybe someone is already learning to be you. Claire didn't come home that night. He didn't even sleep in the She went to a roadside hotel where no one knew her. No cell phone, same Wi-Fi, no cameras. She wanted to disappear. I too exist off the grid, out of reach of unblinking eyes. But the problem was she had already been watched for too long. The next morning, he woke up the sound of the old television in his room. It was off, but the sound came like a noise, a ghost transmission. She approached the screen. No image, but the sound was there, static, then a hiss, then her own voice. There is no longer a difference between who I am and who is seeing me. Ripped the cord out of the socket. But the TV remained on for another 12. Then it turned off by itself. She returned to the hotel reception. I wanted to pay and leave. But when he handed the document, the attendant smiled strangely. You're already in the system, Claire. Your entry was registered yesterday at 3:17. She didn't say anything, there was no way. At that time, she was still in the building. Right? Or maybe she left without thinking. He ran to an old LAN house 2 blocks away, entered, paid in cash. He sat at the most hidden computer. Accessed and browser. He searched for the words that appeared in the reports. Observer Project, Implantation, Synchronization, Unit 04. Nothing. But in footer of an abandoned forum, he found a deleted post. Only a visible excerpt. If you've made it this far, you're probably no longer you. The now is, who is seeing through your eyes and how long has it been? Claire closed the browser, I'll get up. But the computer crashed. Blue screen. Black. Then a single image, a recording, because sitting right there at that LAN house. But the problem is that she was still sitting. And video in the future, 2 minutes later. She saw herself get up to go out, look back and smile, but she was still there. Stop. Without smiling. Video kept playing. It showed her walking down the sidewalk, then crossing the street, then disappearing around the corner. And soon after, a new started, with tomorrow's date. It showed her, entering back into the building, sitting in the central room, and opening a new Unit 05 Observer online. I know that you are watching this comment here. I'm still me. Just to be sure, just for the record. Maybe this is the last time you can say that with certainty. And it doesn't leave the channel, because in the next video, we're going to show you what's inside Jacob's backup, the original creator of the Observador project, and why he disappeared. Before activating Unit, Jacob left one last recording before disappearing. A video that no one has ever been able to open. Now, this video will be aired soon, and it may not just be a story.